clickety-clackety piece of shit. Dun 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 dun. Da 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 da. Dun 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 dun. Here we go. So catchy. So funky. So catchy. So funky. So funky. This is so funky. Da, 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 da. Brings back memories of childhood. My parents had a Pontiac in the early 90s that they got used, and they had a little welcome tape inside of it. And I used to play the tape to listen to the music on the tape, and I actually found the fucking copy of that tape on YouTube. It's so cool that somebody actually did that. It's so cheesy. That's the sound of childhood right there. Alright, enough of this shit. I love that tape. That reminds me of being that reminds me of being like 3.5 or 4 years old and fucking with my mom's car. Alright, so where are we? So today I'm gonna be wearing a black shirt to celebrate Elizabeth Holmes going to prison. And I'm also going to be fixing a MacBook. Now, many of you piece of shit. There we go. Many of you may wonder why there's been less board repair videos. Where is my focus nowadays? And a lot of my focus has been on a project called Repair.wiki, where rather than me have, just have me doing videos of repairs, I'd like to have them documented in a manner where it's a little bit easier to find solutions if you're somebody who doesn't have the time to watch a 1 or 2 hour long repair video. And you'll see that we've got a lot of really, really long troubleshooting guides and techniques over here. And this stuff is also incredibly, incredibly well detailed. A lot of what you see here came from TCRS Circuit, who you can find on YouTube over, here we go, over here. This is TCRS Circuit's YouTube channel. Also, we've had contributions from legends like Jesse Cruz at VCC Board Repairs, and I am happy, humbled, and honored to continue finding people who are open to contributing to this, because I think that this is going to help people a lot more than my videos. And admittedly, I'm going to be honest with you, I've done over 600 board repair videos at this point. I'm kind of tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Can I be real with you? I have over 600 videos in the exact same format. Yes, count them, over 600. And that's not including live streams. There's about 100 or 200 live streams that I never managed to make into a video that are about 3 to 5 hours long that are unlisted, that I just didn't really have great content in them. So overall, there's probably about 800 total board repair videos. I just don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm focusing on this. And I genuinely appreciate those who have seen and kind of understood my vision and wanted to contribute to it. Thank you very much for choosing to do so. So we are going to get started on this board repair today. It looks like here we have an A1466 in front of us. Let's see if we get the Paul Daniels software to work today. Okay, do we got the Paul Daniels software working today? Let's see. Do we have the, okay, we got 50% of the Paul Daniels software working today. I'll settle for 50%. And the rest is going to be the power supply. And there we go. We got 100% of the Paul Daniels software working today. All right. So I'm getting greedy, baby. I'm getting greedy. So let's take this board out of the case. As you can see, whoever was working on this is an evil, evil, evil person, and decided to not take the DC in board out of the case in spite of the fact that the board is taken out of the case, making it a pain in the ass to test where you have to kind of like balance it and wiggle it. God, it's so awful. It's so awful. I swear, the people that do that should get eaten by alligators. So what we're going to do over here is just put this over here, get the DC in board out of the case like a civilized human being would do. And this should make it easier for us to do our troubleshooting. I'm also going to unscrew the SSD because I don't want the SSD, if I'm going to be doing any hot air rework or anything like that, to be getting heat while I'm working. Again, this is unavoidable when you're working on newer MacBooks because the SSD is soldered into the freaking board. But on the old ones, I would always take these precautions when I'm able to. So we're going to move this aside. We're just going to put this into my little shelf over here. Plug this in. You guys excited? Hope you guys are excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. If I'm excited, you should be excited. That's how this works. And we're going to 1, 2, 3. This DC inboard also has some schmutz on it. Ugh. Okay, come on. There we go. There we go. Okay, what happens? What happens? We have a fan spin. This already works. Fuck. Well, half already works. Actually, it's the... Huh? Okay, never mind. Yeah, okay. I forgot. This is the one that turns on, off, on, off, on, off, on. Why don't I got no light on my charger, though? Go figure. Okay. Yeah, this is another reason I got tired of doing board repair videos. Every time I grab a board that says it doesn't work, it already works, and it just makes for a shit video. I can't really make content when all the stuff already works. Yeah, so it looks like this must be an issue with my charger finally. My MagSafe dying, is not turning green because it's been doing that on several boards that work fine. And there's nothing wrong with the one-wire circuit on this. I'm getting 8.6 volts on PP bus. So the SMC is fine. So let's take a look over this board and see if we can figure out what's going on with it, or why this was brought here. So maybe we'll find something. Maybe we'll see something. Okay, let's look over this into the microscope, and what do we get? By the way, everybody, our friend Paul Daniels is in the chat. Say hi. He's responsible for the multimeter, power supply software, and board view software that I use. And he is a good man. Even if he killed Chlordite, he's a good man. He did good things for society. Okay, so it looks like there was corrosion over here at one point, so it is believable that this wasn't turning on before, or perhaps having intermittent issues for the customer. So this is why it's important to still look. We'll take a note of what that was. We'll take a note and come back to it in a moment. So this did have liquid damage. There is a credible reason for this laptop being here. And it is dusty. That'll get cleaned off in the ultrasonic, no problem. Alright, just give it a quick little look-see around here. And alright. Well, okay, let's figure out what this thing does over there. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to have to open a piece of software called Flex Board View. So that's going to be interesting. So I am going to go to my schematics folder, and I'm going to find the 820-3437 board view and schematic, and I'm going to open this file with a program called Flex Board View. One thing that I'm happy about is that I'm not using Unity Desktop today. I'm actually using proper software. I'm using XFCE, which allows me to choose what program I use to open a file, and it actually allows me to set a path, not just use installed applications, which will allow me to set the file associations that I need, and beautiful, it just worked. I love XFCE. XFCE is such a beautiful desktop interface. I love this desktop interface. I love the people who program for this desktop interface. I love the philosophy behind it. It's beautiful stuff. It really is. And I'm grateful that there are people out there that will develop for things like XFCE. So I'm going to get my board view and my schematic on the screen for you all to see in just a moment. So just give me a second, and that'll be opened up on the screen for all of you to see. And here we go. So we're just going to find our chip. Now, this is a part that a lot of newbies have trouble with. When I say, I point to this, and then like, okay, how do I find it on here? And it's just kind of like trying to find your way around a big city. And I think that that's the best way to explain it. So you just have, different things everywhere. And so over here, I'm looking for a three-legged thingy. So this is a six-legged thingy with vertical that's next to an eight-legged thingamajiggy over here. So a six-legged thingy that's next to an eight-legged thingy that is a thinner rectangle. And then I look on the board view, and you got the six-legged thingy that's next to this eight-legged thingy that's a thinner rectangle. So I can safely say at that point that what's corroded is Q1920. So this is the ME disable strap. So there's a management engine. It's Intel ME management engine. This is the disable strap for that, SPI descriptor override. So this is going to have to do with the ME region, BIOS, all that kind of stuff. So it says if low, ME functions normally. If high, ME is disabled. This allows for full reflashing of SPI ROM. SMC controls strap, enabled to allow in-field control of strap setting. And again, at the end of the day, do you really have to understand what all this means? Not really. You don't. What you need to understand is that there's a pile of green corrosion on something and that the customer said that it's not working. And this is a misconception that occurs very often in this industry. It's that you actually need to be smart enough to understand everything that you see on the screen in order to actually make something work again for a customer, and that is not the case. If that were the case, I wouldn't be in this business because I'm not very smart. I'm pretty stupid. I don't really have much of a working brain, and that should be obvious to anybody who watches this channel on a regular basis. Yet even an idiot like me is able to have a decently rated business on Yelp and Google and Facebook and all that jazz. And a lot of it comes down to, you see something corroded, you replace something corroded, which is pretty idiot-proof. Yeah, that's pretty idiot-proof, I'd say. So I get myself a little donor board, and good luck with that, pseudo memes. If I knew, I would do it, because I have an S10e, and I'd love to get one. Okay, so again, all this dust, it actually winds up trapping in little bits of corrosion and stuff like that. And all of that dust is going to go away in the ultrasonic cleaner. Will make the ultrasonic cleaner water dirty, but, you know, that's why you get more water. Also note that we have a probe point over here that's on its last legs. That's most definitely going to have to be investigated as well. I'll turn up the light so that you can see that. And yeah, you could see that I can't just put another chip on here because of what this looks like. That's not going to go very well. So now, as I've said, you cannot solder on top of corrosion, nor should you solder on top of corrosion. So what I'd like to do here is I'd like to add a little bit of flux. And then what I'd like to do is I'm going to scrape. And honestly, it's probably bad to scrape at the iron. I'm not saying that it's a bad tactic, like you're going to break the board. Or I'm saying it's bad because you're going to wind up going through these $50 tips much faster if you do this. So I'm really, really, really gently scraping, and as you can see, that probe point came off, which means that it's a good thing that happened, because if that didn't come off now, it most certainly would have died later after I give the device back to the customer, and then it would have been intermittently turning on and turning off because it intermittently would have been conducting electricity. So I am happy when things like this happen. I am happy that if the pad comes off now... Mercy. Oh my god, that was loud. Holy crap. Stock XFCE needs Windows Snap, super key plus direction key. I have no idea what a super key is. I have no idea what a super key is. Thank you for the $1 anonymous, though. Yeah, I don't know what a super key is. I have a Windows key, I have a control key, I have an alt key, I have a bunch of letters and numbers, and every now and then I'll use some punctuation. I don't know what a super key is. Yeah, I just deafened you all. I just deafened everybody, didn't I? Oh, well. So, I had it turned up from before. Okay, now, as you can see, I've restored this over here, so that this, again, I did not put the solder on top of corrosion. I scraped to get rid of it, and with the flux that I added, the flux that's in the solder and the solder blob, all that corroded crap kind of got sucked up onto my iron, and then I scraped the solder off of my iron so it was no longer there, and then I soldered on top. Now the same is true here. Again, do we have something we can solder to here or not? I don't know yet. I am going to scrape. Again, I'm not going to try to solder on top of corrosion. I'm just going to provide some very gentle scraping. Some very gentle scraping to see if we still have a pathway here. That's what I'm looking for. Again, do we have a pathway here? Do we have a pathway here? Survey says kinda, sorta, maybe. Let's see if I can get that a little bit more in view for you. We're just going to adjust the exposure and the white balance here. I might turn down HDR because it's going to make things a little too bright. And this is a really, really basic repair. There's nothing crazy difficult here. This is easy breezy. Easy breezy. So you see that there's some spots in there that's kind of spotty. I want to see what it looks like under all that. So I'm just going to grab my desoldering wick. And I want to see what's under that. Now the other nice thing about wick is that wick is pretty decent at actually scraping away corrosion, because wick is, you know, this kind of harsh abrasive wire. So it'll allow me to see if there's actual corrosion hiding under there. And as you can see, it really looks like I don't have any corrosion there anymore. So that corrosion would have eventually eaten away at this. And what I'm actually going to do over here is I'm going to run a wire from here to here, just in case that's been weakened. Just in case that's been weakened, so that I know this is never going to come back for the same issue. Again, this may come back because they break something else, but it's not going to come back because this was not addressed properly the first time. So let's make sure that this is nicely soldered in there. Each pad. All right. Yoink. Yoink. This. Thank you, Mansutagima. Okay. And just reinforce it There's no pain or reinforcing it a little bit. Not much cost here. Get out of here. Shoot. Now I'm going to tin the wire, scrape away the... It's easier when you have steadier hands, but such is life. I chose the wrong profession. You don't want to make it too long, because if you make it too long, it winds up being an antenna. You don't want to... so, there we go. Now, one thing you'll notice is that if you believe that that wire is not in the proper place, it's actually going to flow into place perfectly due to a concept called surface tension. It's going to flow naturally into the perfect part for it to be in relation to the solder pile there. What do you enjoy more, repairing boards or running a board repair business? I would say the business part of it. I mean, you can't really cut one out from the other. It's impossible to cut one out from the other, but I would say I enjoy the business part of it. You know, and just fixing a board in and of itself eventually would get old. Being able to see the customer interaction on the front end, being able to see, what it's like when they bring it in, what it's like when they get it back, building it and all that. I think, it was the entirety of the experience that made it interesting for me. And what? Oh no. Oh no. The chip flew away. How dare you? Get back here. Okay, where'd you go, you little mother... Where'd you go? You're over here, aren't you? Okay, now I gotta figure out which way it goes. Which way is up, as Barry White would say. Do I have a dot? Okay, I got a dot, and it's the upper right corner. That's up. Which Way is Up is one of my favorite Barry White songs. That and Get Up. Which way is up and get up? You better get up. You better get up. You better get up. Get up off your ass. Alright. Now that wire has flown into place, flown exactly where it should be. Beautiful. Pads are nicely soldered. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Alright, and my little probe point that was mildly corroded before has been fixed. Again, this is not really some sort of fun... Again, this isn't really some crazy investigative repair. We're going over and finding out this crazy problem. This was a really, really basic one, and it was honestly kind of boring because, as I said, this thing was already turning on. The ticket said it wasn't turning on. It's understandable why it wasn't turning on, because it had that corrosion over there. But, not everything is going to be crazy, crazy investigative. And you could tell that we're starting to get some weird little green probe points over here, so I'm just going to probe around a little bit on that side of the board once I find out where my alcohol dispenser is gone. What's going on over here? What's going on over here? Is that corrosion or something else altogether? Yeah, a lot of this board is just funnily colored probe points. And you got a little crumb over there. And lots of strangely colored probe points over here. I'm very curious the climate that this customer lives in. It's amazing how the smallest corrosion spot can ruin a board. Well, that is what it is. Oh, I'm glad you got your flux, Felix. Sorry we sent you the wrong thing the first time. My apologies. Let's see what we have here. Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied that we've gotten rid of all the corrosion on this. So that's about that. I mean, it's, not rocket science. You just, as Mark would say at iPad Rehab, I see broken, I fix broken. Sometimes you don't really need to understand. the complexities of everything that you see on the screen to make something work again, sometimes all you need is the willingness to open it up, be a little curious, follow some basic common sense, and take something that looks like crap, make it not look like crap, and sometimes that's enough to get a working circuit. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now. And if you're able to contribute to Repair.wiki, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Okay. And cut. What's next? Why does it sound like a fucking jungle outside? Just put the name of this ticket in there. 45409. Four five four oh nine. Oh my God, they will. Text that. Missing a number there, Uncle Chris. I don't speak that language, friends. Don't know what that shit means. I know how to say suka and belet and bienvenido and aloha and el burro sabe más que tú and peas diets, and that's about it. What do we have here? G9. Okay. Next up, slot G9. Be right back.
That was close. That was fun. Where the ball go, bro? I took it. Louis picked it up. Oh shit. Tomorrow, guys. Guy, good night.
I suck balls. I can't shoot for shit. Roar.
More power.
Neither can I, but one day last week, Friday, I was hitting all my shots. I don't know why. It just randomly started happening.
Oh man, this is bad. I don't know how to shoot.
Good night.
Roar! I almost made it into my cup. I can't play basketball. I don't know how to play basketball. I suck.
It's not about that.
Chris, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Thank you. I missed you. I'm glad you're feeling better.
About my vacation, by the way,
What happened?
I had to cancel it. I should be at the fucking Poland now. But
Oh.
God bless fucking COVID. I don't.
I know you didn't want to go back to Poland. Yeah, we were gonna do a vacation. We were gonna do a vacation in Miami in like a month or two. You want to come?
Of course.
I'll cover your hotel.
Nope.
What? What do you mean no?
You are not allowed to do that.
How to call it? You're gonna let me pay you? Fuck. I'm trying to. Yeah, do you see how fucking sad he is that he doesn't get to see his family in Poland? Look at how heartbroken this fucker is.
You know what?
Oh man.
I don't like my family.
Me neither. Except I don't have to.
Nobody heard that. Oh, you guys got played.
Oh man. Tell me. We're going on vacation. Okay, where are we? Oh. 543. What's this ticket? Watching you try to enforce a mask mandate is comical. I enjoy. It's like he's supposed to. It's like he's behind you, and then he started smirking. I mean, he tested positive a week and a half ago. He stayed home. He tested negative. Like, what am I gonna?
Yep. That's why I'm not really being,
Did you see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez vacationing in Florida? Which begs the question, if she gets to go to Florida, why the fuck don't we get to go to Florida?
She's getting me to death,
I know, she fucking deserves it.
She's a fucking bitch.
But like, what the fuck? I know. Why are Chris is happy to go on vacation down there. I gotta convince him, and I convince Viniera. Kevin will be easy. I just have to show him the same show that convinced you at a certain parking lot. Okay. Fucking two-faced. Okay. Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to get started fixing yet another dead MacBook over here in our beautiful New York City store location. This is a MacBook Air that has no power. And, oh man, this looks like it has seen better days, from the bottom of it being scratched to it being filled with dog hair to, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, so we're going to take this out of the case and go from there. Now, as you can see, the same sick, evil fuck that opened the last one seems to have opened this one, because the DC-in board is screwed into the case, meaning that you can't test it without having the case handy, which is insanely inconvenient. What kind of sick, evil, twisted, perverted bastard would do such a thing? I'm confident it's not somebody that works here. So we are going to unscrew the DC-in board. And we are going to do this. We are going to do this. Okay, that little DC-in board is out. I'm going to plug the DC-in board in. We are going to unplug and unscrew the SSD. And then we are going to order a steak salad. Actually, yeah, you know what? I think I'll order a steak salad now. I'm kind of fucking hungry. I know this has nothing to do with this video, but one moment. We're going to get a steak salad. Holy inflation. $30 fucking $80 for a steak salad. What the and turkey meatballs. Mamma mia! Fuck you. I'm preparing my food next time. Holy shit. Bro. Okay, you win, you fuck. You win this once.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Anonymous, stay hydrated. Thank you. I got my water here. All right. Okay. Now, what do we do here? First thing we do, same thing we always do, Pinky. I will take Chris's hotel room. Ha! No. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting some of the people here to go to I just want to kind of test the waters with a Florida location, so I'm offering some of the top employees here the opportunity for a vacation, particularly starting with the ones that have expressed the desire to leave the city. So, you know, we're just gonna see. Gonna see what they say, see what they think. Start you out with a free all expenses paid vacation. Okay, so what do we got here? So we have 121 milliamps, and it's not turning on. Well, oh, we got a little light in the charger. Good, my light in the charger finally decided to work. And does anybody notice anything? What do you guys see? Let's see. What do you all see over here? What do you got? Yeah, indeed, Chris Long, indeed. Well, you don't see food. Yeah, there actually is food. It's just you got to zoom in a little bit to be able to see it. No problem. What do you see now? You better be able to see it. That damn lens that I put on this camera was like $400 or $500 to get something that zooms that much on an overhead camera. So I hope you see it. Exactly. Now, here's the reason that I love being able to see the amount of amperage the board is taking. What I do mentally is once I figure out where the corrosion is on the board, I then associate the amount of amps it was taking with that being the problem. Now, here's why this is important. This time, I have an obvious indicator, which is liquid damage and burn marks around this chip that I then associate with it taking 130 milliamps. What if there was no liquid damage? What if that chip had just magically failed? How would I know? How would I know that that failed? Now, I could do a bunch of measuring of every single thing in the circuit. I could waste an hour of my life. Or I could remember that the one time that it was taking 138 milliamps, that just so happened to coincide with corrosion on that chip. And then I will jump to checking that chip in that area. This is a shortcut. And as you work on devices over and over and over again, each time you work on that device, each time you do a component level board repair on it, each time you do some sort of open-ended troubleshooting, you are making it easier for the next time that you work on that device. So the first repair takes you 4 hours. The second repair takes you 2 hours. Third repair takes you half an hour. Fourth repair takes you a half hour. Fifth repair takes you 10 minutes. Sixth repair takes you a minute, and so on and so forth. This is the idea, to save that information inside your head or write it down. And that's what we're doing at Repair.wiki, by the way. If any of you want to help out, this is a project of mine where we have, okay, let's say you have no backlight. Here's all the different things it can be. When you have no audio, here's all the different things it can be. And if you were interested in checking out information on this particular board, you could actually search for it, and you could find it by searching for 820-00165. Really? Are you fucking... Is the search function on my own website this bad? Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. So, over here, 23 to 24 milliamp draw. Here's the possibilities. 36 milliamp draw. Here's the possibilities. 70 milliamp draw. Here's the possibilities. And so on and so forth. I want to document all of this so that when you start doing these repairs, instead of it taking 4 hours, then 2 hours, then an hour, then a half hour, then 10 minutes, on your first repair, it should be able to take you 10 minutes because you have all of this information on display for you. That's where I'm putting a lot of my time now. It's not necessarily into board repair videos, but rather it's in taking every single piece of information from over 7 years of doing this out of my head and putting it into a database so it's publicly accessible without you having to spend 10 or 20 or 40 hours watching all these boring-ass videos, listening to me rant and curse along the way. And if you have information to contribute to these videos, we'd highly appreciate it. I'm very thankful to people like Tim Herman at TCRS Circuit that you could find at youtube.com/TCRS Circuit that contributed a lot to the Macbook sections. And also to people like Jesse Cruz, who contributed a lot to the iPhone section. You could find him on YouTube at youtube.com/VCC Board Repairs. I'm very happy and grateful that he was willing to contribute a lot here. I have looked at Tampa, but it's dangerously close to Clearwater, which has a lot of Scientology, and that scares me. Yeah, about that. So, but I did visit Tampa. It was an interesting place. So what we have to do over here, let's just check out this under the microscope and see what it looks like. And see what we can do. All right. Let's see what we can do. First thing I'm going to do is just put a little bit of flux over here. Just a little bit of flux. Not too much. Not too much. You don't want to put too much flux. It's wrong to put too much flux, right? Just a little bit. Also note that there's corrosion up here. See the green? See the green? So I'm going to get some flux over there, and I'm going to reflow this chip as well, because I don't trust it. By the way, I wanted to say to all of you who are watching right now, thank you very much for being a subscriber to this channel in the new year. I genuinely appreciate it. I know I don't always make the most entertaining content. I know that at times I can be a cunt. But you stand by and you stay subscribed, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your viewership. Thank you. Whether it's on YouTube, on Twitch, on Library, or on Odyssey, your viewership is appreciated. And your contributions to websites like Repair.wiki are also appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you for helping me spread what I enjoy to the world. A little bit of repair, a little bit of economic security, and the ability to take away stress from people that think that they've destroyed something that we're able to give back to them in working condition again someday. So now it's going to require a little bit of scraping to get those pads back, as you can see. It's going to be a little bit of scraping. Okay, what do we got? A little bit of scraping with some goot wick. As you can see, this is, yeah, that's, see all that red stuff? That's what used to be board. It's kind of like board blood. That's the best way I can describe it, is board blood. Like when the board dies, it actually gets kind of bloody. You may have thought that this is not a biological creature, but it kind of is, because you get this weird red thing when the board corrodes in an area. It's kind of... Yeah, let's clean that off a little bit. Let's clean all that residue before we go back to our scraping. Because there are pads under that, and we are going to be able to work with the pads under that. It's just it's not going to be very pretty. But at the end of the day, the customer is usually more than happy to save some money by getting a device back that may not be perfectly pretty on the inside, if it's still pretty on the outside. Remember, they're not going to see the motherboard. They're going to see the screen and everything else. And at the end of the day, it's on the outside. The outside looking good is what counts. It's not what's on the inside. Wait a second. Don't take dating advice from me. Okay, this is something else. Oh my God. What is all of this? I still use Linux because Paul Daniels took away my license for Windows, and he forced me to utilize open source Stallman software like he does. This is not of my own free will. This is due to the evil of Paul Daniels. Okay. Is this even remotely solderable to? And further, what is this pad supposed to be? What is this bullshit over here? Like, there are so many questions to ask here. So many questions. You've got questions, we've got answers. Actually, we've got bankruptcy and shitty cell phone contracts to replace what used to be a once burgeoning enterprise for people who were interested in electronics. But the decline of Radio Shack over a 20-year time period was really sad. So we are going to open up a schematic and a board view. Okay. Schematic and board view. Bada bing, bada boom. And zoom in over here. Now what is this? So that is, it looks like ground. That looks like it's ground. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. It's not, and this, I'll just make sure that that still goes to ground. And over here, this corrosion was PP1V05SO, which goes to the CPU. Now, I want you to think about this. If there's enough corrosion that that section of the board looks like that, what do you think the chances are that the CPU got a little bit more than 1.05 volts? Maybe got a little punch of 5 volts or a punch of 12. You have to understand that there's going to be a chance here that the CPU is dead even if we replace all the circuitry that was powering it. And that is quite disappointing. That means that there's a lower chance, lower likelihood of this being a functional repair or something that you can give back to a customer and collect money on. And it's something that I'm going to keep in mind if I run into more and more issues later. Because at the end of the day, if you run a business with a no-fix, no-fee policy, which I think is fair when it comes to stuff like this, you have to know when to call it quits. Because you can't spend 5 hours on one board at the expense of everything else in your queue, or you'll have a bunch of angry customers. In the beginning, when you don't have a lot of customers, or if you live in the middle of absolute bumfuck nowhere like Paul Daniels does in Queensland, Australia, where they have about a population of 8 people and a few kangaroos, you have a week to work on a single board to figure out a problem. But that's not going to happen if you're in a more populated area. So, let's see if we're able to solder it to these pads. And let's see if we're able to do a little bit more scraping. Paul Daniels is mad at me because he's not the one that owns the kangaroo. What are some commonly needed chips for MacBooks that you don't have a good source for? ISL 9240 is easy to get on AliExpress. What about others? CD3217 is a pain in the ass. CD3217 is a pain in the ass. ISL 9240s have gotten easier. It's just what sucks is like it took 3 fucking years for it to get easy to get a chip that was essential to doing our job. I take out everything on Paul Rob Brown. I take out everything on people named Paul. Paul S, Paul D. Like, pretty much anybody with the name Paul gets the short end of the stick. If they're in my aura. Okay, so some serious scraping is going to be needed here. And we're going to see what I can get done with the iron. Scrape. Scrape with high temperature. That is being very, very picky. This is really, really not coming off. Look at that. Okay, let's try with the wick again. I'm going to be a bit more mean to the pad than I was before. If this were an iPhone, that pad would be off the board by now. One thing to understand if you're watching me do all this is how hard you could scrape. It's going to be really dependent on the particular board that you're working on. You try to do this with an iPhone, and you are going to be FUKD fucked. It's not going to go well, because the pad is going to come flying off of the iPhone. Pads on iPhones are kind of stuck to the phone board with, I think it's juicy fruit gum. I think that it's not even fresh juicy fruit gum. I think they just take some, like 2-week-old juicy fruit gum, and they use it to stick the pad onto the board. But I'm being serious here. If you're doing this type of work, do not do the type of wicking I am doing here on an iPhone board. You will have no pads left. You have to be a lot more gentle, and you should also use a lower temperature when doing your soldering. Yeah, this is okay. We're finally close to a pad that I can call acceptable here. I don't have as much of a pad as I'd like, but I got something that is going to conduct more than well enough. Sweet Mercy Kangaroo says, Montetagima. Sweet mercy indeed, man. Sweet mercy indeed. Sweet mercy. What about green UV oil? Don't know. What is that strange noise I hear? Ah, that's some good old-fashioned Sweet Mercy. This is not perfect. This is about as good as we're gonna get. And I'm gonna just give this a little bit more filing. And you can't solder on top of corrosion, but you can try to file away the junk with some flux, some heat, and my tip. Just gonna keep filing away until I get through all of that junk. And I'm hoping, I'm not starting to solder on top of the corrosion. I want the corrosion and the junk on the board to get sucked up onto this solder blob. Okay, that's going to be a bit more difficult to see, so I'll just turn up the light a little bit. I probably should turn up the HDR. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to turn up the HDR a little bit. Let's see. Is there a way to do that without it being? No, you can't turn the HDR up too much here. It washes out the image, unfortunately. Okay. So we're going to do a bit more. We're going to do one more wicking session. We're going to do one more wick session. Some John Wick. And yeah, see that? See that? I got a nice little pad back over there. Look at that. So now the entire, it's not just a small portion of it that is solderable. That entire square is now solderable. I don't want to accept a pad where I'm putting solder on top of corrosion. I do not want that cap to be sitting on top of corrosion that is not going to conduct properly. Even if it's going to half conduct, I don't want that. I want a fully conductive pad, and I'm willing to continue scraping until I get that. I'm willing to continue scraping and just be careful with your scraping, but that's what I want. You can always put it on there and it'll probably conduct, but you want to do the type of work where if somebody else opens this up, you know that you can be proud of what you did. Again, it may not be super pretty. It may not be super pretty if the board looked like shit and, it got corroded horribly. But you want to be able to be proud of the work that you did. And we're almost there. Keep in mind, there's a good chance that I'm doing all of this for a board that has a dead CPU. That would be funny if this has a dead CPU. I mean, that would be really funny if this had a dead CPU, because this would mean that all this time I'm putting in is for nothing. And that's very possible. With my luck, it is very possible that everything I am doing right now is a complete waste of time. Do you know how much the customer pays if I'm not able to make this work? $0. No money. Okay. What? Get back there. There we go. Unsupported signal indeed. Wait, my camera died. Oh, shit. Reboot. Come on. Reboot. Do I have to fix my camera? That would suck. Come on. Okay, there we go. Remind me to fix the HDMI port on my camera. Seems to be on its way out. Now again, I don't have to solder those two components above perfectly in place, because while I'm soldering the chip itself in place, that's all going to fall into place. Magewell 4-port, Paul Daniels, never changed it. I got 2 of them, but I never used the I don't actually use the second one for anything anymore. That was when I had some illusion that I could get everybody else here to do videos at their own stations, or Steve to do data recovery videos. And that was... yeah, that was a while ago. That was a bit of a fantasy of mine. Okay. So, do this. There's a little cap that I gotta get on the corner of the board, and then we're set. One little capacitor. And if this doesn't work at the end, because it has a dead CPU, I'm gonna ship this to Charters Towers in Queensland, Australia for a repair. The land of the Queen. Queensland. If I try to read what just came on the screen, this capacitor will fly away. Thank you, Mr. Rossmann. You taught me how to make a living for myself. I'm 100% my own boss and way happier because of you. Thank you, says Christian Stout. Well, don't give me credit for that. Give you credit for that, because you're the one who built your business. You're the one who made your customers happy. You're the one doing all the work. I don't know what you're giving me credit for, but I really appreciate that you were able to build something in this industry. And that's part of the incentive and the motivation for me to keep doing what it is that I'm doing and trying to ensure that this stays a business, so that people can continue making customers happy and restoring devices and making money while they make their customers happy. Thank you very much. Your support means the world to me. It's very kind of you. Very kind thing to say. Okay. Now, I think there's some corrosion hiding under this chip. Call it just an intuition. I think this middle top pad is going to look like shit. But one way to find out. My intuition was wrong. It was just a little bit of dirt. So see how there's a little bit of dirt on the top over here? I thought that meant that this chip was going to be in bad condition, and it wasn't. China may be trying to turn off Australia. You can just turn off a country? Like really? Like a light switch? Like you can just shut it down? That's crazy. How do you turn off Australia? I guess you travel there and cough. Oh, too soon. Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. My bad. I shouldn't have said that. Too soon. Too soon. Okay. Put this over here. Let's replace it. Since remember in the beginning of the video there was a little bit of corrosion by here anyway. And that all says power good chip is a common thing to have fail when it... So... My husband always turns me on, said Debs. What's a good price for a CD3250? It needs firmware. I do believe it needs firmware. I honestly don't know what a good price for it is. Like, I from the bottom of my heart, my inventory guy and my staff does my ordering now. I used to know this shit, like, I used to have all of it memorized, and I don't anymore, because they do it, and they do a better job of keeping up with it than I do, honestly. Yeah, so, I honestly don't know. I don't know, like $7-8 to buy in bulk is what I'd prefer. Obviously, I prefer it to be way cheaper, but I'm just thinking of the pricing for the CD3215s, what they were when you could buy it in bulk. Perhaps it's unfair to apply that to the CD3217. Okay, so let's see if we have anything different here. So I'm going to turn off the fume extractor because this thing is loud. I keep the light fan on for a while. The light has its own little fan because it's a halogen lamp. That's what makes it brighter than my other LED one. You'd think LED would be brighter than halogen, but apparently it isn't because my old LED one was way less bright than this. So we are going to plug this in, and my goal is to see if I'm getting 500 milliamps, 600 milliamps and turning on, and a fan spin. And I have a fan spin, which means there is a chance that the CPU is not dead. But there is always that chance the CPU is dead. What I'm really looking for here is an image. So what I need to do now, the next test over here, and again, usually I would consider it fixed with a fan spin, and I would leave it to the reassembly crew to make sure everything else is working. But the reason I'm looking for a fan spin here, I mean more than a fan spin here, I should say, is because this board had damage to what was powering the CPU, which houses the GPU, which is the brain of the computer. So there's a really good chance that this doesn't turn on anymore. And is that turkey meatballs?
Meatballs?
I thought you were...
Ordered food?
Yeah, I thought you were bringing turkey meatball. Oh, well, good night. Huh? Yeah, I'll lock the door. One sec.
Your delivery's coming.
My delivery is here? Oh. Dad, that's the second time! You bastard! Like a half hour, 40 minutes ago. Muscle faker, as always. No way. It's a giant van. There's no way the economics allow a giant van to deliver my food.
All right, good night. Tell him to call when he's here because everything is. He's gonna think you're closed.
Yeah, you have my number.
All right, see ya.
See ya. Oh my god, it's cold outside. Holy shit. That's a... Gotta get Chris to check out Florida with me. Be nice to open up a shop near Miami. I don't know how Miami is, though. Like, my gut intuition tells me that, like, Miami is kind of like New York version 2. That's what my gut is telling me. My gut is telling me avoid the bottom of Florida. My heart is telling me enjoy the bottom of Florida. Okay, so what we need to do now is plug in the screen and see if that works. Orlando seemed like a cultural desert. It seemed kind of... I wasn't impressed with Orlando when I visited. I enjoyed Magic Kingdom and some of Epcot. Correct, Vince. I actually said F you with dealing with all of Europe when it came to international shipping. Okay. So let's see what we have here. Stop that. You focus on the screen. You focus on the screen, not on the camera. It's focusing on its reflection. Silly. Suppose one of the things we can do to give us a prediction as to how this is going to work out, just check out what the backlight voltage is. Oh, it's for sweet fucking mercy. Thank you, Coda. It's 2 pounds more than I deserve. Sweet mercy. Okay, what do we have for screen backlight? Screen backlight is 25.6 volts. That's actually looking up. 25.6 volts means that... Yes! All right, we got an image. Oh, look at that, folks. Oh, just a little bit of cleaning up, and we got ourselves a nice little working MacBook. And again, in my head, I now got an association for myself, and I also got something that I got to add to Repair.wiki. Or if one of you could do it for me because I'm lazy, and I'm going to forget to because I haven't eaten yet. No, but seriously, I have a new association, which is when I have 130, 150 milliamps, that typically, that could mean that I'm missing PP1V05SO. And one thing that's interesting is I think that's already kind of partially written over here. No power, 150 milliamp draw. SO rail P good is all sys power good failed. Like SO P good C fails. Clean up and okay, that's a different issue altogether. Yeah, so this is a different one. This is a mildly different one. But I am happy. I got something I have to add to my wiki. And I hope you're happy. Hope that you learned something. You know what I'd be happier with? My damn food arrived. Yo. Where is my food? I'm hungry. Damn. Get over here. I want my food. I'm so hungry. Oh well. See you all in the next video. Bye now. What type of donation would you appreciate? Dead drives, dead motherboards? Depends on the type of drive and motherboard. I don't know what type of drive Steve needs, but, you know, he's open to getting stuff and is always thankful. And it depends on the board. Like, if you send me a board for an Acer 5517, it's probably going to go into a compactor if you send me. I'm always open to MacBook donor boards. Please and thank you. Okay. Where's my food? I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Where are you, delivery man? Can I send you my 3 MacBook liquid damage to fix? Only if you have a ton of money. Only if you have a lot of money. Money. Or if you have my food. If you have my... I'm really close. I would trade a board repair for my food right now. Would do board repair in exchange for my salad. Where is my food? Fix. RAR and testing. Testing. Where is my fucking food? RAR! RAR! RAR. RAR! I'm hungry. I'm grumpy. I'm hungry. I'm angry. I'm hungry. I'm hangry. Where is my... RAR. 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 If you have a MacBook in the UK, send it to the coder. He's in the chat. And you don't have to deal with all the bullshit that you'd have to deal with sending it here. You don't want to send it here. You don't want to deal with like customs holding it up for 2 weeks. You don't want to deal with like $70 in shipping. You don't want to deal with it getting lost. Do you want to deal with all that crap? No, you don't. Send it to him. He's probably cheaper anyway. He doesn't have to deal with New York City real estate. He's not paying inflated New York City real estate and salaries and all this other bullshit that you need to do business here. Okay, come on. Come on, where's my fucking food? Get over here. Come here, you cunt. I'm hungry. Hungry. Roar. This is crazy. I'm near my window and there's no insulation like missing or anything. I feel cold because I feel the cold coming off the glass, which is so crazy. Like I can actually feel, it's like the cold is just permeating from the glass. And when I put my hand on the glass, I feel the icy frostness of the outside. This is really, really, really cold. Holy moly, mother of Jesus. No need for all this cold. I'm literally standing at the door in protest until my food arrives. Come here. Where are you, little steak salad? Where are you, little steak salad? Come over here, steak salad. I could kill a cow and roast him faster than this with my quick 861DW. You're not a food person. I thought you were a food person. Rawr. Rawr.
Sweet mercy.
Sweet mercy. There's mercy? Winter can gargle my balls. Yeah, it's pretty cold. Louis should eat the delivery driver as well since they're taking so long. I kind of want to do that. Well, I'm not going to grab another board to fix because I'm hungry and I can't really do much work when I'm hungry. So what I'll do is I'll edit these two videos while I wait for my food to arrive. How does that sound? So I'll see you all later. I'm going to edit some video. And get some video edited, and I will talk to you later. I'll have something to post to the main channel shortly.